Okay. So let's see. Is it the meeting is being live streamed? Okay, I got it. All right, we're now live streaming. And let's just let the different platforms catch on. Okay, there's one. Okay, we're good to go.
Excellent. And it's 1:11 p.m.
You can't make this shift up. I woke up this morning to literally 5 messages of people, people I know pretty well. One of them was my daughter. And she sent me a message, bless her, 20 years old, and going through everything that 20-year-olds go through, right? And I know she was hesitant, can you help me a little bit? I'm doing the best I can. I just got a new job. I need some shoes and a shirt, it's a restaurant. And it was 1:11 when the message came in. So,
oh, cool.
So, it was all right. I'm going to flip on the, we won't be able to see the comments. Yeah, they're starting to come in now. We won't be able to see the comments as we normally will from all the platforms, but I'm going to turn on Facebook and pull up the Facebook comments, because on my page, that's the biggest where we get the most people. All right. We got a few people in the house. Looks like we got about 40 people here, and they'll come. We've been getting suppressed a little bit. That's not unusual. So if these shows resonate with you, please share to one page. We don't usually ask that, but I get a lot of messages from people saying, why don't I get notifications? Well, I don't know. I don't know, So Shannon Fischer is in the house, and it's a pleasure to make this connection. A lot going on in the world, as we all know. We're all trying to figure this shift out, but we ain't going to figure it out. The universe is endless. But I really appreciate you coming on board and connecting with me. And I hope you don't mind if I share that you're a little nervous, because I think it's important that we be open and honest about everything. And there's nothing wrong with being nervous. In fact, it's a good thing, I think. But it's a pleasure to make the connection. And thank you for coming in and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. I think, if I'm not mistaken, you responded to the post that Morgan Lee put up. And it's about the hero's journey. And I'm a big believer that our highest activations and downloads, channelings and transmissions come from conversations like this. So it's an honor to be here with you. And I applaud you for stepping up. I have no idea what you have to say, but I'm all ears, and this is a safe place. And don't underestimate what you're going to share, because it's not just going to be shared, in this linear experience with the people that see it on live and replay. Your heart's intentions are being infused into this holy matrix grid that we're creating to replace this whatever the hell it is that we all signed up for. But yeah, you got great energy. And where are you from? Where do you live?
I live in Mission in beautiful British Columbia, Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's lots of wildfires happening up in the interior right now, and it's pretty crazy up there. But a few days ago, we had a lot of smoke coming down from that area and smudging us out. I like to think of it as a huge geographical smudging, because, Spirit has a whole different way of doing things. It's not just on a physical level. There's all kinds of things happening.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Everything is relevant, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a
Yeah.
strong believer that everything happens for a reason, even if we don't understand it right away.
Yeah.
Right. Eventually it ends up becoming clear. And at least that's how it has been unfolding with me in my journey. So
Yeah.
it's an honor to be here too and meet you. Thank you. And
Well,
I was really excited to jump on that message of the opportunity to come and share my story. I wanted to talk about my awakening, which happened in 2011, and just a couple of the magical things that have happened along this journey, because maybe it'll help somebody else realize, no, you're not going crazy. And there's some pretty awesome things that can happen that you can't make up. Like, it just is divinely orchestrated. And that's the magic that we do have available for us to work with and play with, as long as we're open to it. Yeah, so like I said before we started here, like, I haven't been this nervous in a long time. And I've been going live doing my own readings and stuff for years.
Oh, really?
Once a week. I've been doing it for years, and I get nervous too every single time I go on, but this is a whole nother level of nervous.
Isn't that
last night.
But isn't that, it's I get a lot of messages and stuff from people, and sometimes constructive criticism.
Mhm.
And without being defensive and not meaning to, my attitude is sit in the chair for 7 days, with the energies coming and going,
Mhm.
and then tell me what you got to say.
Right.
And that's not to say that I get a lot of negative stuff. I don't. But the point is not in what we say; it's in showing up.
Exactly.
And that's just my philosophy or whatever. But I'm really happy that you did, and I have a feeling this is going to be incredible. So I'll ask you one of my favorite questions. Have you always been like this, or have you always been this weird?
Well, no, I didn't think so. I thought I was leading a pretty normal life up until I was just 35 years old, was when the Great Awakening happened. And holy, I grew up in a family that got split apart. My mom and dad divorced when I was quite young, and I went through some sexual abuse with my father and put him in jail, and been through a lot of different experiences with relationships throughout my life. Not all bad, but not all of them very good either. Lessons learned, and everything we overcome helps us, at least this is what I believe for myself too, helps us become a better version of who we are. And I know all the things that I've been through and overcome is putting me in a position to be able to connect with others and hopefully give them the hope that they need if they're in the similar situation. So yeah, when I was 35, I was a single mom, working a job, trying to get my job back. It was like the world was just pressure cooking me in. I was on the verge of not being able to pay rent, looking at possibly getting kicked out onto the streets, and I wasn't going to have it. So I looked at myself in the mirror one night, and I said, with every conviction I had in my being, I was staring at myself in the mirror before I went to brush my teeth and go to bed. And I just commanded of myself, you can only go up from here. And I meant it. I went to bed that night, and I woke up the next morning, and I shit you not, excuse my language.
It's okay. This is Soulogy. You can drop as many F-bombs as you want to.
Good, because I just might. But yeah, I woke up the next morning with this energy coursing through me that I've never felt ever in my life. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt, everything was going to be fine. But I had no idea how, because everything was crumbling. Like, what the heck? So I just got quiet for a second. And then I was like, hindsight from now looking back, what happened was my Kundalini rose up and I was turned on and tapped in, but I didn't know any of this back then, had no idea. All I knew was what I felt. And then I was just prompted to listen to the inner guidance that was coming to me, which was get your ducks in a row, right? Figure out how you're going to get the money and go do it. So I did, and I got it. Rent was covered within a couple of hours that very day, one stress off my back. All of a sudden, I couldn't eat meat. Even the thought of eating meat that day, which I've been eating meat my whole life, I started to feel like really queasy and sick to my stomach. It was the weirdest thing. And then I needed to drink water, which was another thing that I didn't really care to do up until now. My body was starving for it. So I just gave it lots of water. And then I was just eating apples and vegetables and just going with whatever my intuition was telling me that I needed in that moment, but dialed into this energy that had me like blissed out. And I couldn't make heads or tails of it. I wasn't grounded in my energy. Like I said, I knew nothing about this. So for the next 3 weeks, I was making connections and understanding things that have happened in my life leading up to this point on a different level of perception. So it was like aha moment after aha moment. And then I was afraid that I was gonna forget everything. So I started writing it all down, and then I stopped sleeping. So after 3 days of not sleeping, I think my brain started to secrete that DMT, and I started having a lot of hallucinations. Like I was seeing little aliens and stuff. Here's the little guy that I have right here.
Really? Were you seeing him like that?
Yeah. Outside my window, it was, but I literally wasn't sleeping for 3 days, and then all of a sudden I ended up cutting off my hair, which is something that it's the best feature about myself. And anyone that knows me, I love my hair and I have it very long. So when I ended up cutting it up to here for no good reason, it really scared my family when they ended up seeing me. And they thought I had lost my mind. And in a sense, I kind of did. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what was happening. All I knew is I felt good and that I was going to be okay. But I couldn't convince anybody else of that because they weren't where I was. So I ended up getting hospitalized for a month and a half. And it was the first time ever. This part's hard. I was taken away from my son. And I broke a promise to him that I would never leave him. But I had no choice. There was nothing I could do. I was deemed in a full-blown psychosis. And when they wouldn't let me go home, I went from being on cloud whatever 23 that I was on, and I got grounded hard. And so I got a label of bipolar because of that, which is so funny because to me, looking back, it's like that's a very natural emotion to go from one extreme to another when something like that is happening, right? So 5 weeks, they kept me in the hospital and forcefully put the medications in me. And I did make a full recovery a year and a half later. Once I got off all the medications and I started to regain, and I feel like this was part of the first rebirthing process that I went through. Sorry, I didn't realize there was still some emotions left in there with that.
Thank you for sharing this with us.
Yeah. But so once I got off the medications and I start to remember who I was, the energy started to come up and started to surge in me again. And I thought, oh God, what is going on here? Right? And it scared me. So I kind of went back to my old way of doing things with self-medicating, which is smoking a lot of pot. And that's not good to do when you're becoming very spiritually open. If you over abuse that, at least in my experience, maybe it's different for other people, but moderation is key with everything. I strongly believe that. And for me, this was not something that was helping me the way that it did before my awakening. It was energetically making me more open and vulnerable to spirit or energies that weren't necessarily mine. And I didn't know how to shield myself or ground myself yet. I had no idea, no teacher, no nothing. My teacher throughout this whole process has been the experiences that I have, which is straight from source itself, right? So I made the full recovery a year and a half later, got off all the medication, felt that energy coming up, got scared, went back into the old pattern of just, I'm going to hide from this. And I went into a second psychosis. Back into the hospital I went. This time I was only in for 2 weeks. They knew what medications to give me, and then it was easier to put me back out in that zombie state. I recovered in 6 months after that one instead of a year and a half. And I made a full recovery. The psychiatrist even signed me off of the mental health. He couldn't believe it. He's just like, I've never seen this before. And I tried to tell him it's because of what you labeled me with isn't actually what's happening. And one day I'll tell my story, and down the road, there'll be proof behind it. Science will end up backing it. I know it will. And then after that time, and after the second time I made another recovery, then I decided to not go back to smoking pot at all. And I had quit smoking cigarettes. I had purified my body to the best of my ability as far as toxins and heavy metals and hydrating myself properly. The next step here was to ground my energy, start meditating, because I wanted to get those answers, and I knew I wasn't going to get them outside of myself in a community that I was connected to that had no idea what was happening to me. So I started doing guided meditations. The first one was with Bob Proctor. He's pretty well known.
Yeah.
And I did the paradigm shift one for I don't know how long, a couple of months, I guess. And then from there, I was guided to do a chakra meditation. And then I started really learning those subtle energies of the chakras, the 7 main chakras, and really how to ground and everything. Well, I ended up getting into a daily routine without fail. I set my mind to it and I was dedicated to it. So I did daily meditations every day. I still do them to this day, and it's been 10 years. So I highly recommend it for people. It's a great thing to do to get grounded and get tapped into who you really are. And then I got the third wave of energy surging one day, and I thought, oh gosh, okay, what is going on? So I went into my meditation. I got real quiet. I didn't need a guided meditation for this anymore. I've been doing it long enough. And I tapped in and I just asked, okay, I'm ready to know what is happening to me. And one word dropped in, Kundalini. I'd never heard it before, ever in my whole life, as far as I'm consciously aware. So I had to Google it. And when I Googled the meaning of what Kundalini was, which is your life force energy that gets activated, and, some cultures work with it very slowly to work through the energy bodies, like from the root up to the crown. But there was a section in the Wikipedia write up about it of the comparison of working with the Kundalini in a prepared way and an unexpected and unprepared way. And I had what's referred to as a full-blown, unexpected, unprepared awakening, which is a spiritual emergency. Like, it's a spiritual emergency. And every symptom that was listed as an effect that happens when something like this is happening, I had every single one of them. There was like 35 different things.
Wow.
I had every single one of them. So to me, that's not a coincidence, right? Like that's bang on. So about 5 minutes after I finished reading this, I went on Facebook there was a Starseeds group that I was a part of, because there's like-minded people in certain groups on Facebook. It was like my saving grace, where I didn't feel like I was going crazy with some of the things I was experiencing, right? And one of the people that I connected with that I feel is a soul sister of mine ended up reaching out to me and sent me an article from a doctor in West Africa who is a shaman, Malatoma Patrice Sommet. And he had come to the Western culture and into the psych wards at the hospitals to see how people in there are being treated. And what he saw was, because he could see spirit around all these people. And then with the onset of all this drugs trying to suppress what's actually happening, people are literally pulling their hairs out, going crazy. And I've been in there having my own experience, and I just started bawling my eyes out, because once I got the word Kundalini, then all of a sudden I had this article that kind of explained. And what he said was that what happens to some people going through this kind of thing is the spiritual emergency is because they're natural born shamans. And I felt the resonance of that. And as soon as I started working with energy and connecting with ancestors, later I was led to, in 2018, I was led to the Indigenous Culture Friendship Center here in my town, and invited to learn Indigenous drumming. That's why I have my drum in the background here, because this is a really cool story.
Oh, you mean the one you're going to play for us before we leave?
I could. I don't know if the
No
speaker
pressure.
will handle it, but no, I would love to be honest with you, because everything about this interview has got me so outside my comfort zone. I know it's exactly what I should be doing. 100%, hands down.
Isn't that the way it works?
It is, absolutely. If I hold myself back, then I won't be moving forward. Right? And of course, it's not comfortable moving forward into something that is unknown, that we haven't done before. So I was greeted with open arms to the women's, they call it the Women's Warrior Drum Circle. And I was there with about 15 other Indigenous ladies of all ages, elders included. And I have very pale skin. I can tell you that I do have Indigenous running in me, but it's an extremely small percentage. But my soul, I'm telling you, 100% hands down is Indigenous, because they gave me a drum and they had the words to the songs, and we went in the circle and we all sang the solo parts in the circle. And when it came to me, I was told that I could just pass it on because I was new. And I totally planned on passing it on. But when it got to me, my spirit took over. And I held the beat as if I had been doing it my whole life. And I'm streaming with tears because of what is feeling and what's happening with me while I'm doing this. And I went to pass it on, and all of a sudden I'm singing the words I just heard as if I've been doing it my whole life. I swear, all of me that might have been fragmented out just kind of came home that day. It was so amazing. And I knew that I was on the right path to something here, because the feeling is almost indescribable. I met a woman before we started drumming, and I asked her if she was going to be coming to drumming. She goes, no, I have to go home, but I'll meet you after. I never met this lady before. So after drumming, she comes back and she goes, I have something for you. And I said, okay. you didn't have to get me anything. I just met you today. And she goes, she puts a hand on me and she said, no, you don't understand. You need to have this. And then I got chills from head to toe. So Spirit was like, pay attention. This is important. I'm like, okay, what do you have? So she put in my hand like this little tiny brass key and a little white marble that had 3 splashes of color on it. 1 splash of green, 1 splash of blue, and 1 splash of yellow. And I'm holding these 2 items and I'm at a loss, right? And I'm like, okay, thank you. I know that this means something, but I don't know what it is right now. And I'm sure when Spirit's ready to help me figure this out, when I know what this message is, I'll let you know. So the next day I was invited to come back down to the Friendship Center and be a part of the co-ed drumming. So now it's twice as many people, twice as much energy. I got high. I'm not kidding you. I got higher than I ever have been on any drugs or alcohol or anything in all of my life. But this was a natural high that was, I think, is what everybody is looking for, to be honest with you. It's that reconnection to Spirit and the earth right here, right now. There's nothing like it. And when I got home that night, I went into meditation before bed and I'm like talking to the universe or source. And I'm like, thank you so much for this opportunity. I know that drumming is a part of my path without a shadow of a doubt. I need a drum. I only have $50 in my account right now, but when it's all good and ready, I know it'll happen. And sometimes these drums can be upwards of $400. Wow. For something exactly like that. I woke up the next morning and got a call from the friend that introduced me to all this. And she was at a flea market and she goes, Shannon, you're not going to believe this. There's a lady selling drums down here. And I said, what? She goes, yeah. She goes, and I'm looking at one that has a crow or a raven on it. She goes, I swear to God, I can hear your name. And I said, what? And I'm like, Terry, I didn't tell anybody about my universal ask for a drum. And you're telling me there's a drum and you can hear my name on it. How much is the lady selling them for? She said $50. I'm like, no way. She goes, yeah. And I go, okay, no, that's my drum. 100%. That's my drum. Can you ask her to hold it? Because I can't get down there right away. She said, sure. So it was being held for me. I go down there a few hours later and the drum's not there. And the lady saw me be all like happy. And then all of a sudden she didn't have my drum. So I was like, what do you mean you don't have the drum? She goes, okay, I'm going to ruin the surprise. But your friend came with an elder is well known in a town outside of this one. And he was going to a rally. And he forgot his drums at home. So he needed a drum and mine was being held aside. So he decided to get that drum. He blessed it with his own songs and his own energy. And then he hand delivered that drum to me. It was absolutely amazing. Again, I can't make any of this up. It was totally in alignment. I even had an elder hand deliver the drum and play me a song before he gave it over to me. The very next night after that, I got woken up at 3:33 in the morning. And I know when this happens, the Ascended Masters are tapping in and they're like, it's time for you to figure out that riddle. And I'm like, riddle? Yeah, there's a puzzle to put together. And I was like, okay. I'm just laying in bed with my eyes closed, having this conversation in my mind. I'm like, well, what is it? And then they showed me the key and the marble. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, obviously I know what the key means. The key, there's a key to something here, but what does the marble represent? And then I was shown the clip of the movie Men in Black in the very, I think it's the beginning or maybe the end of the movie where that alien hand comes in and picks up a planet the planet Earth, and then tosses it onto a game board. I don't know if you've seen it. That was like, oh, that marble represents Earth. And I'm like, but it doesn't really look like an Earth. It's white with 3 splashes. New Earth is what I heard. So, okay, what is the key to New Earth? What's the key to New Earth? And then I was given the visual of me sitting in that friendship center where I was given those 2 pieces, those 2 items, right? Waiting for lunch. And I looked up above the lunch counter and there's a banner above that said community. And then that word came down closer in my mind's eye, right? And then it split into 2 words, calm and then unity. But I wasn't pronouncing calm correctly. So they start laughing at me when I get really literal with things, because that's just so in my mind, they got rid of the second M and put an E there. So I would pronounce it properly. Come, unity. And as soon as I heard that in my mind, it all came back together. Coming into unity through the community is the key to New Earth. Boom, 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 boom. I started getting chills in my bed. My eyes, I finally opened up and I was like, do I need to write this down? and Spirit's just like, well, do you think you're gonna forget this? And I'm like, no, I really don't. And I'm like, am I done? They're like, yep, you can go to sleep now. And then I was out cold, woke up 5 hours later, and I remembered everything. So needless to say, I have been drumming every single week since then, until COVID hit. When COVID hit, we couldn't gather in the drum groups for a while, but we just recently, I started up a new group, and we started gathering again in local parks and stuff, just to, get it back up and going. And songs are coming through now for me to, share, like my own songs, not just the ones that have been passed on. So it's really, really amazing and magical. When I'm not sure what direction I need to go in, all I have to do is surrender and ask to be shown the way, and it becomes very clear. So,
wow.
Yeah, I really wanted to share those.
Holy shiitake effing mushrooms. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a powerful transmission.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having the balls to get up here and do this. That's a beautiful thing too, like the emotion that came out, the tears in regard to the separation, or the real but not real separation, because it is such a human accentuated journey. I mean, we try to get away from being human, and
right.
Embodiment is a word that's used a lot, like a lot of words, right? Ascension even, right? I mean, but there's a reason that we're conscious 99% of the time with what seems to be, based on the intel, less than 1% of our multidimensional consciousness, right? I mean, the human is an extraordinary mystery. And I love what you said about the stepping into, moving forward is stepping into the unknown. Going from our comfort zone, which we're not comfortable, into the unknown, seeking the comfortable. But God, your story just.
Well, I know for myself, I'm on a journey right now, learning how to get comfortable in that uncomfortable zone. And I didn't know that I was disconnected from spirit until my spirit was reconnecting to my physical body. And then the consciousness, the awareness started to come online. But I had to get quiet. I had to get very, very quiet in order to hear the intuition and the guidance from within as to what was happening, because I wasn't able to find that outside of myself.
Do you find yourself having to get quiet again and again and again?
Absolutely. I've gone through about four major, what most people would use the term dark night of the soul. I've been through four of them. And I know that's not going to be all. We keep rebirthing ourselves into new levels and layers of who we actually are. And we're multidimensional beings. We have 12 dimensions that we operate from right here with this physical body as we have it. But a lot of people are aware of them.
And some people like me aren't aware of any of them, but this one.
Yeah. So it's really interesting. I'm now like immersed deep into quantum healing modalities, so I can further expand my own healing and teachings, because I help people, whoever's drawn to me. Like, I do have a clientele and stuff. Like, I know everything that I overcome and master within myself, I can help pass that torch, because we're here to remember who we are and master thyself. No one else.
That's right.
That's where everything went wrong in the world. Is those people that are trying to misuse and abuse the power that they think they have over themselves and place it upon another. No.
Even in the etherical field, right? I mean, even with our thoughts and our that's a powerful thing that you just said.
So I've been contemplating, how do you come together in unity if you don't all agree on the same thing? Well, you respect other people's differences. That's how. You don't have to, you accept that they are who they are for whatever they believe, and that's their right, while accepting and respecting and honoring yourself for what you believe for yourself. This is how we can come together in unity without trying to force, no, my way's the right way, get over on this side of the fence.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I got that from you, listening to you. Yeah, there's that old crab in the bucket thing, come sit in this bucket so my belief system can be reinforced and validated. But I love your message, the frequency, the resonance of your message, because your fix, lack of a better word, is not on how you serve, not a priority and a purpose in your life, but it's on yourself. So there's that almost like a tug of war you see out there in the community, even in myself. I mean, I'm not going to exclude myself, but it's about you. It's about you first, and then you want to share it, and this is
really, we only are as good to others as we are to ourselves. So if there's room for improvement with self, you better start there.
First and always,
right?
And the stutter steps, the ebb and flow to there is no success, there's no failure. You make a choice, you try something. If it doesn't work, or in your mind or whatever it is, you just created a field of a new choice, and that may be resetting to where you came from, and it may be whatever, but it's
all a learning curve, a learning experience to expand and evolve. And I know for myself, if I keep judging something as bad or hard, then it's just going to make that experience more uncomfortable. So there's a lot of levels within the psyche and the mind and the programs, the distortion that needs to get cleared out, and a retraining of the brain and the belief systems in order to see more than just what's been placed upon us.
Do you ever find yourself in a space that looks very familiar? You make quote unquote progress. You talk about the 4 episodes of the Dark Night of the Soul, and you think you got it figured out, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean that's reality. I mean, it's okay to come up for air, and then all of a sudden, here comes the next one.
Yep.
How do you sustain yourself through those ebb and flows? Because I mean, there's been just tremendous amounts of mixed energy in everybody's personal journey since my year was 2011 as well, for the last 10, 12 years. How do you ground yourself to those original moments of waking up? How do you do that? Through the drumming?
Drumming is huge for transmuting and transcending the energy. Absolutely. It's one of the easiest things to do. But for the moments where it's like, you think you got everything figured out, you're riding, you're doing good, you've got this wave, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from underneath you again, and you're questioning everything all over again. It's a reset. And I feel it happens. It happens in cycles. It's all like the waves, right? Like it ebbs and flows with that particular type of experience too. And for me, it's gotten a little bit easier because I remember the last one. But the first one was really hard because the trick is to surrender to what is. It's okay to not be okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right? Yes. Just allow yourself to feel what you're feeling without judging it as this way or that way, and just be. When you do that, then you're riding that wave again, and you start to come up a lot quicker. It's when we start putting on the brakes and we're judging it as this way or that way, then we're throwing up more blocks and resistance, and we're going to stay stuck in that field. You can't see the forest through the tree.
I saw a Abraham Hicks meme 2 or 3 weeks ago that basically said that the universe knows your heart's desire. So in other words, like, you put up the prayer and then you go looking for it. You're sending 2 different signals. And what you're describing is that indescribable, right? It's like this state of nothingness, total connectivity. It's kind of like somebody threw you off a cliff and you're just flying through the air. You know what I mean? But it seems like it's, I guess, like through your story and through what I see with others, becoming the norm. Like, it's our natural nature.
This is how we're learning how to trust, have faith, and believe.
Yeah. The transitive verb definition of faith is trust, semicolon, to believe.
Right. And if we don't have a good relationship with ourselves and we don't trust ourselves, how are we going to trust something outside of ourselves? Yeah.
Which always comes down to, for us, I think for the most part, 99.99% is those mirrors that are us, right? Especially those closest to us. I mean, not trusting, the universe. I say, the universe is our twin flame. Everything outside of me is me. If I don't trust that,
right,
then you're going to tell me that I trust myself. I mean, it's a real pleasure to hear you talk, because it fits the environment now of to thine own self be true and walk the talk. Not in a dogmatic, kind of way. Just relax, take a breath. And like you said, this thing about the judgment, I mean, that's a sub program of victim consciousnness. It might be the first one, the first and foremost, right? But it's such a,
I think we're all learning right now. We've been given a divine intervention with the global situation to pull back, get back in tune with who you are, get accountable, be responsible, and step into your sovereign rights as a human being.
Yeah. Which sounds like somebody could tell us that and we go do it. Right?
Yeah.
But it is littered, you know, in the path before us, behind us, and with these, the deprogramming,
Yeah, we have to
the
face the shadow. The shadow is
yeah.
also an aspect of ourselves that needs to be embraced, not ignored.
Yeah. How how were the four, I mean, you're obviously very onto it, to the thine own self be true, to the physician heal thyself, you know, I mean, what was there a difference in those four dark nights of the soul, or were they each of a different theme?
Well, the experiences of them were each different, but like the dynamics, they were different, but the underall, like, okay, the shedding of the old skin of who you thought you were is like all completely gone now. We get to rebuild on this solid foundation. So for me, it was like looking in the mirror that that one day and saying, I can only go up from here. And then it happened, right? It was a transition. And then I kind of stepped into, along the way, I stepped into wanting to be in alignment with the truth, not a version of the truth or belief systems, just what is true for what is. There's nothing to distort around what a truth is, right? And I was willing to accept the truths for what they were, instead of going, oh no, I don't agree with that. And you know, there's the resistance again. The truth will set you free. And in my case, the more truth that I accepted that presented within me, the more free I got. But it did come with the shedding of an old belief system I had about myself, which felt like that rug came out, like, well, who the heck am I? Well, great. I get to now rediscover who I am and all the truths that are in alignment, right? Or beliefs that are in alignment with the truth are a solid foundation. So it's like those days where it feels like it's uncomfortable and I'm not okay, when I surrender to that, it only lasts a couple of days instead of a few weeks now.
But that doesn't happen, does it? We're awake.
It does. Yeah, because we keep shedding the distortion, the distorted layers held within the matrix of the fourth dimension. It's a very ugly place in there.
Well, I think when we get on the quote unquote other side, we'll look back and see the absolute masterpiece.
It has a good reason for it. Yeah. It's teaching us what we're capable of and how to work through it.
Brilliant design. Do you ever, let me ask you this way, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but when's the last time you said, get me the hell out of here?
Like the earth?
Well, you know what I mean. Just, you know, I mean, and my point is that I love that you said you had 4 dark nights and you have more before you. And I also love that you said what used to last weeks, last 2 days. But, you know, there's that humble pie being served every single day.
Right. Yeah.
No one's going to go hungry. But, yeah, I mean, my point being that even now we can experience that moment. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Has that happened to you? Do you have to take a breath sometimes and say, wait a minute?
Yeah. Like I had a day last Friday, was it, or Saturday? I had a day where 3 things ended up smacking me in the face because I realized an old pattern was repeating itself on another level of awareness. And I had to pull out of what I was starting to build again. And I'm glad I saw it when I did, because I wasn't going to invest. But it was one of those days where while it happened, I was like, for a moment, why? Right? You just go into that why, not again. And then I just have to allow myself to feel that for a minute, surrender to it, and then sit with that energy and ask, what do I need to learn from this? Like, and I did. And of course, journaling helps me figure this out too, right? So, yeah. And then I realized that this was another cycle of a pattern that I had caught onto last December. And I wasn't willing to keep recycling that one. But there was a new level of awareness that I needed to learn. That's why I ended up locking in on these 3 different experiences that all came out from underneath my feet, all in the same day, within like the same hours. And then, yeah, once I realized what that was all about, and then I was like, okay, well, no, this isn't actually taking me down. This is helping me build with a little more clarity where it is that I want to move forward with, which is all about accountability for self. I can't blame other people for me not feeling well about things, right? If I'm not willing to walk or do something different, it's not on anybody else, right? But then be willing to walk when something isn't feeling like it's in alignment, and be okay with that, which is exactly what I did. And then I'm not feeling like, after a couple of days, it wasn't one of those like, well, I can't say it was one of those days in that moment of it feeling like it got pulled out from underneath me. But a couple of days later, I saw it as the gift of the lesson learned to move towards what my goal, my ultimate goal is in this life's journey of helping and healing and restoring balance, or whatever it is, just one step closer to the ultimate goal, the big dream. Right? So it was a blessing in disguise. And I'm so grateful that I am a stubborn optimist, because this world needs a lot of us right now.
Community.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love the drum. Will you share it with us?
What was that?
Will you share the drum with us?
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, nervous. Here we go again.
By the way, your hair is beautiful. I just want to
thank
tell
you.
Yeah.
I do still love it. I grew it out. It took 7 years to get it back to its length and some. I'm going to do a couple of drum beats. Just let me know if it's distorting back a little further. Okay, I'm going to explain this song because in tradition it's important to honor. I'm going to be singing a song, an Anishinaabe song called Wildflower, and it is a call out to the children playing in the fields by their guardians, and then the children calling back to the guardians saying, yes, we're okay, and then everybody singing together. It's normally done as a call and response. So there's a solo part and then the group will sing it all together. So you'll hear me do it a couple of times, which means normally I'd have like a few people with me, but so here it goes. Oh, honest, I got it. There's another level of this song on a spiritual sense, that it's a call out to parts of yourself you've given away or left behind, whether aware or non-aware. And then that parts of you calling back saying, yes, here we are. And then collectively all coming back as one.
Good.
Very
Excellent.
important.
Thank
Very
you.
important. Hey, hey, hey,
Fucking A. Yeah.
Thank you. I love teaching this, and it was passed on to me by the community or the elder in the community. All the teachings were passed on to me so that I could pass it on to all walks of life. So it's not just, you know, because I believe humans are indigenous to this land on Mother Earth. And the healing medicine, the powerful healing medicine of Indigenous drumming is something brought into the community, will bring everybody into unity, not just with the earth, but with the truth of who they are as a spiritual essence having a human experience here. It's the reconnection and a remembering, and then of course a rebirthing.
Yeah. We are the children playing with the ancestors, aren't we?
Absolutely. And they are cheering us on with every step of the way when we step up.
Yeah. Yeah, the fairy tales are real.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They had to come from somewhere.
Absolutely.
God, what a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
You still nervous?
A little bit. There's a song that I wrote, but I don't have the melody to it, but I do want to share the words since I've got the opportunity to do so. So when the melody gets set to it, it will be, you know, broadcasted on the Facebook page that the drumming group is on. And this song is, it's called Love Rise. And the words are: love, rise, rise, rise up through the earth, bring light, bring peace. Love, rise, rise, rise. Love, run, run, run along the land, bring the power of love to heal. Love, sing, sing, sing along the breeze. Sing, 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 sing within humanity. And in this unity that now is whole and singing and healed, beloved be. And it's supposed to be sung 4 times in connection with the 4 directions and the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water, with your spirit being the voice carrying this through.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. I had no idea that that was going to be a song. I wrote that out as like a prayer. And just like a cleansing kind of ritual thing that I did many years ago. It wasn't until I started doing drumming that I started getting, or when was it? It was last year, Spirit or the ancestors even were telling me that prayer that you do is going to be a song. You do know that. And I'm like, okay. And so I started working on it as an actual song this year. It was time.
Wow.
Yeah. The drum group, if anybody wants to know, is called Healing Hearts Sacred Drum Journey.
Healing Hearts Sacred Drum Journey Facebook group.
Yeah.
Love this.
And it's open to everybody.
Very cool. There's a brother, I've never even messaged him or spoke to him. And he, for I think a couple of years, he would upload himself shirtless, looking like a typical, whatever you want to call it, light worker, hippie, starseed, right? You know, probably 45-ish, 50-ish. You know? And just with no self-consciousness, just gets on and just drums, right? And they'll run about, you know, I don't know, a minute to 2 minutes. And I can't even tell you to this day what the, you know, the drumming was, or recollect the tunes or the beats. It's just his pure expression of just sharing. And you know, we've got a few admins in there, and I noticed that they would decline sometimes. And I said, no, don't decline, put that out there, because anybody that clicks on it's going to pick up that,
Right.
and
Yeah.
but it's just another way, right, to be you. And that's really there we go with the key in the marble, right?
Right.
The key, just all we got to do is be ourselves.
Yep.
I mean, we spend so much time consciously and not trying to hide what we don't want people to know.
Right.
But
I'm
until
worried
we,
what they're gonna think about it, where the judgments are
Right.
gonna come.
So like we're trying to find ourselves. We're finding ourselves by removing the mask that we had from seeing ourselves, yet we still have the mask up. And of course, eventually the domino will knock the other one down, and everything will be that even playing field. But wow, I don't even know what to say. I'm just in that space, thanks to you and everybody, of that bliss that you described. There's we complicate things so much, and therein lies the rub. What is that lesser God that lives in us that thinks we got to figure everything out, otherwise we're going to be exposed, or whatever the case is. It's just a simple, profound truth, and truth is what you talked about and what you represent, and it's my truth, and yours is yours, and it's okay. Like you said, it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. Actually, I think the people that are okay are the ones that say they're not when they're not. Those are the ones that are okay, not the ones that say, I got my shit together, let me show you how to ascend.
Yeah, and they're hiding that they're not always okay. That's not authentic.
Yeah.
That's a spiritual bypassing, which happens a lot.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, I'm a firm believer that those that, including myself, that put themselves out there and it is pure intention. It's all pure intention. Because we're able not only to, we think we're learning from the lessons that they give us and the downloads they receive and share, but it's not that. It's this right here. It's this right here. It's, hey, I'm nervous. I'm not, which means I'm not okay, but I'm going on with you, brother. And I didn't know I was going to play the drum, but here we go. And this is it. I mean, it's right in front of our face. It's always right in front of our face. And I just want to say again that, I knew with the tech difficulties and the way things have been working, that this would be a fantastic show. And I just want to thank you for being so brave. I really do. And for having, the courage to open up and put yourself in a place where those tears came and you didn't know. So I see this as that nonlinear, off planet, whatever you want to call it, universal energy exchange. You gain something, we gain something, and come unity, right? Yeah. You're a beautiful, brave, beloved sister, and I would be honored to collaborate with you again later in the year, and I just want to wish you the best always, and I'll see you on this side, the other side, or both.
Thank you so much. It really was an honor for me as well.
Yeah. I'm just soaking it in. It's a beautiful,
it's strength and vulnerability.
Absolutely, there is. That's really where it is. There is no other way to put it. And I don't think that will ever leave, and it's just my thought. But I mean, we get one way or the other, quote unquote, projected out of here. It's that what we talked about earlier. You're not thrown, but I mean, you find yourself like you've been thrown off a cliff and you're in the middle of nowhere with no up, no down, no light, no dark, just that Holy Mother's darkness. Right. The womb.
We're floating. We're not falling anymore. We're actually floating.
Yeah. We have 2 more shows today, and maybe more, but 2 more Soul Speaks 5D. And again, everybody, thank you for creating this vortex